Aloha. We're so glad to see everybody. You're going to see around this circle here, your Hollywood squares, a couple of different faces today. But welcome to Kiwanis Connects, and I'm so glad to see everybody here. And my guest to my immediate right is Claudia, and Claudia has been watching the show. Some of you see comments come in on Facebook from Chuggy, but introduce yourself.
Claudia Soria Delgado from Division 5 in Central California. And Chuggy is the first dog of Division 5.
The first dog has her own Facebook page.
She does.
Which is pretty amazing. And so you'll know she has a dog too. Well, that's so awesome.
That's the cat.
Oh, that's the cat.
It's a cat.
Hi, baby.
Oh, how cute.
And so our guest today also has her cat with her. We don't have Chuggy with us, but our guest is Anya. And Anya is going to be sharing a number of stories with us. And so in the control booth with all of his amazing artwork is John Stiles. John, you want to give a wave? So I'm so excited about this show. It's like, hi. So if you're logged in on Facebook, Roku, YouTube, all those different channels, give us a shout out and send in messages. And yes, cats rule. Marissa Chevelle out in Las Vegas has several little cats. And so we're so excited that, Anya, you brought your cat with. But what I want to do... Okay. What I really want to do this morning is have you call in if you want to call in. And John will put the number up on the screen for us for you to be able to call in. And so, John, that number, please. The call-in number is 702-992-3207, 702-992-3207. And ask all the questions that you want to ask. Because, we celebrated our Independence Day this week. And I know a number of you, I've seen you on the road. You have taken 5 days off to celebrate independence. Not just one, not just two, but 5 days. And so I thought about this a lot. And that's why I invited Anya to be a part of what we're doing. Because we want to make sure that there's an Independence Day that's able to be celebrated in the Ukraine. So without further ado and me babbling at you, Anya, can you introduce yourself a little bit more? And
Sure. Well, you'll know by now that I'm Anya. I am Ukrainian through and through, was born in Ukraine, planning to go back to Ukraine. I'm temporary in United States. I came here a little later when the war started, and I came here on a student visa. So I went to graduate school to CSUMB for 2 semesters to get a better degree while the war is still going on in Ukraine. I have 2 daughters. They're 12 and 8. I'm an educator. I taught English for many years in Ukraine. I co-owned an English school in Ukraine that was very successful. We had up to 200 students, and we taught English to hundreds of children over the 10 years that I've been in that project.
I think we have pictures of your family. John's going to try and put up the pictures of your family because I love that slide that you have.
Yes, that's the part of my story. So in the middle, you see the sea otter. He is a mascot of CSUMB. That's me and my husband. To my right, and I think it's to your right as well, those are my daughters visiting Grand Canyon. We made sure we show them the United States as much as we can. Down underneath is a woman named Debbie Bellingham. She turned out to be our fairy godmother. She's the person who invited us here. I was an au pair for her when I was 18. And to those people who have children and you're thinking of sending your kid to a cultural exchange program of any kind, if you're thinking of taking a student, please do so, because you never know how much this experience will change the life of of the person, of the student, and maybe later you'll be able to save a life of a person or of their children. So Debbie hosted us. She's been hosting us for this year. She was very generous, and she became a godmother of my younger daughter, Solomia. Then two men in the middle, I want to tell about them. It's my brother who is wearing army uniform, and my uncle. He's not in the uniform there, but they both voluntarily joined the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and I'm very proud of them. Worried, of course, but this is our life. It touched everybody in Ukraine. Every single person knows somebody or has in the immediate family person who is serving in the army. And on the left, it's me meeting my husband in San Francisco airport after I haven't seen him for 9 months. So it was a very touching moment to see again and hug your husband.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So
thank you for sharing that.
I can go back to the beginning, the
absolutely.
first slide, and I'll start my
before you get started. I want to say that we're so thankful that you're here, and we have people that have logged in. So Doug Chadwick from he's actually in Albuquerque, New Mexico, is online, and we have Marissa Chevelle that's online from Las Vegas, and we're actually broadcasting out of Anaheim. And so as you share your story, just know that lots of people are out there listening. And so I'm going to put it on your screen for you. And Claudia's going to ask you lots of questions.
Okay, yes. Thank you. I am looking forward to questions because, there are things that you want to know that I might not mention because they might seem not very interesting to me, maybe, or obvious, but they're important for you to hear. So if you feel like interrupting me, go ahead and ask me a question. I'll be happy to answer. And I so much appreciate this opportunity. And I am, as you see here, almost packed shelves are empty because I'm moving to France on Tuesday. So when I was invited to this show, I said, when, what time, how much time do I need to do this? And when I heard that it's online, I can do it from my house, I said, yes, I'll definitely go and spread out a word about Ukraine. And I'm excited to share our story with you.
Awesome. So I know John is going to share the screen that's up, and perfect.
Okay, so there was a first slide that it's, let's go back to the first slide because it's the beginning. It's also important.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So remember that I'm technologically impaired.
Oh, no, that's good.
There we go.
We're all learning. Good. So my presentation is called A Year. It's actually almost a year and a half of a 9-year war that started 3 centuries ago. And it's important that I tell this, that the war, we call it the invasion, the recent phase of the war. The invasion started on February 24th, 2022. The war in Ukraine started in 2014 when we had a revolution of dignity. And this is when Russia came and occupied part of eastern Ukraine, and it's when they annexed Crimea. And for those people who are wondering why this happened, it happened because at that time, as I said, we had a revolution. We kicked out the president who was pro-Russian. We literally kicked him out of country. He overnight, he hacked and left on his airplane, helicopter, whatever it was. He left to Russia, and he's been there ever since. His name is Yanukovych. And we didn't have a president, so there was this lack of power to come and to bring the forces into Crimea and to protect our territory. And unfortunately, in Ukraine, there were and still are traitors, many people who are pro-Russian. And sometimes we look and think, why is this, something is happening so slow? Why can we not choose the right way? We weren't able for many years because Russia's tentacles, they're very deep in Ukraine. And we're still, digging out those people from different parts of the government and trying to clear out the way for those people who are pro-Ukrainian.
So are they kind of like sleeper cells of people that they've been there, and as you discover that you're being undermined, that they start to get exposed?
They're just Russia has invested a lot in those people. They have invested lots of money. There is somebody who's called Medvedchuk. He is almost a relative of Putin, but he was one of heads in Ukraine. He was in the government, and he was plotting whatever Russia wanted to happen in Ukraine. So they just put people there, they give them lots of money, and they do what Russia tells them to do. And we don't know that this is what Russia is doing this. It's not Ukrainian people who's doing something, whatever they need to be done. And so, yes, it did start 3 centuries ago. Russia always had big appetites for Ukrainian land. I don't know why it happened like that, but we fought them for many years and many wars. Yeah. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
So we won't be able to play the song now because it doesn't go through very nicely, but we will play the song in the end. And what you will see there is my city, Kharkiv. And it's the very beginning of the invasion. It's April, I think, or no, it's March maybe. They bombarded the city center. So this building that you see now, it's partly destroyed. It was the busiest part of the city. People going in and out, working, living, and they bombarded it. And our singer, a very popular Ukrainian singer, he went there, and on the rubbles he had music players there, and he was playing the song that begins with the words, "Sometimes the day will come when the war is over." And he wrote this song many years ago, way before the war started. But unfortunately, it's our reality. And with this song, I wanted to show you that even though sometimes we are on the rubbles, we keep singing. And our singing is the way of fighting. Some soldiers are fighting there on the front line. Some people fighting by singing. Some people are fighting by switching from Russian to Ukrainian. Some people are fighting as volunteers. And I have to say that our country is big. It's more than 40 million. And every one of us is fighting in his own way. So I'll be happy if you will listen to the song after the show, because you will hear how Ukrainian sounds. And it's a beautiful language. Sometimes I hear that it's the second most melodic language after Italian. So it is, language of love. And it is very different from Russian. If you were ever exposed to Russian, you will hear that it's
Sorry.
okay. Yes, we can go to the next slide.
Okay.
That one?
Or the one before? Is it the one with your parents, your family?
Yes, we can go to the next one after my family. Yes, there's my mom and my dad. So here I want to tell you about the work of the volunteers, and my mom is an active volunteer, and what she does, she helps making the nets. So her job in this process is dyeing the fabric, and let me tell you, the process of how it happens. So we need lots of masking nets, especially in the front lines, because if you ever saw pictures from the front line of Ukraine, there are no trees. All the trees have been cut down, but they need to, hide their machinery. And so we need a lot of nets. And the color of nets, it changes from white with brown to green with brown. And we ask people to bring in their old linen. And believe it or not, after a year and a half of the war, people are still bringing their old linen. And it all comes from times of the Soviet Union when people, there was deficit of everything. So people, they learn to store things. So everybody has a storage of something somewhere. And so this linen is given to my mom, and she dyes it. She has huge buckets. She puts them in the morning before she goes to work. She puts them on the stove. She dyes 2 buckets of linen in the morning. Then she dries it, spreads it all around the apartment, and it dries. In the evening, when she comes home, she dyes another 4 buckets of linen, and it never ends. So this fabric is then brought to a neighbor who cuts in a certain way. They cut the linen. Then it's brought to this place where you see it looks like a parking lot. It's not even parking lot. It's I don't know where it is. And they weave the.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and they weave the net. Sometimes it should be done immediately. This day, soldiers come and they say, we need 3 nets, and we need to pick them up tonight because we're going back to the front line. So they do it immediately. Yeah, and I'm so proud of my mom, because apart from her work, she does this, and she says, this is the way I resist the war. This is the way I fight. And if somebody who's watching would be willing to donate a small amount to PayPal, this is the PayPal of the person who is working together with my mom, so trusted person. And if I'm not mistaken, one net costs $20. I think this is the correct.
Okay,
amount.
so John's going to put that up on the screen. So for those of you who are listening on the podcast, it is YULIYAKOSATA@gmail.com for the PayPal. That's YULIYAKOSATA@gmail.com. That's the PayPal account to help create these amazing, beautiful nets that if you're on the podcast, you can't see them, but they're absolutely huge. Think about putting 2 or 3 of your king size sheets together and making it look like combat fatigue wear. And so,
camouflage.
Or camouflage.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so, Anya, thank your mom, because that's just amazing stuff. At this point in time, we'll come back and we'll talk about how Kiwanians can help with what you're doing. So, John, take it away. Aloha. I am so glad to be able to invite you to Kiwanis Connects on WWDBTV because we have some fascinating shows going on. And so join us on Fridays at 9 a.m. And if you can't join us then, look at all the different links of where you can find us to see the different amazing shows that I do with Aaron and all the crew at WWDBTV.com.
Thank you, Governor Val, for that great message. Good morning, everybody. I'm Aaron Phillips, co-host of Kiwanis Connects with Governor Val, and this message is for all of you great lieutenant governors here in the Cal Neva District. As a reminder, we created a Kiwanis commercial that is dedicated to the clubs here in the Cal Neva District. You've seen it talked about, you've seen it on the show, and on the heels of a recent episode where we talked about branding, a commercial we think is a pretty good tool for you all to have. Now, I want to remind everybody, and there are two options that you can take advantage of. Number one, you could take the existing commercial and simply brand it with your club's information at the end of the message. That's $75 to make that edit. Real simple, and contributions do go to Governor Val Direct to maintain the popular Kiwanis Connect show. Now, if you'd like something a little more detailed and customized with your club specific and pictures and everything that's going on, well, we can do that too. There's three options there. For a 30-second commercial, it's $200. 60-second commercial is $250. And if you'd like 90 seconds to deliver the message, that's only $300. All the work is done here at Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Studios with your support. And reach out to me and I can give you all that information. Email me at KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. That's KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. Continued success for the rest of this administrative year and the future for your clubs, and I look forward to seeing you all at the District Convention in August. Thank you, Lieutenant Governors. We appreciate your time and effort.
I cannot hear you.
I'm sorry. I think that we've lost Governor Val and Claudia. They'll be back, I'm sure.
Okay.
But and here she comes. There we go. Welcome back, Claudia.
Thank you. Governor Val will be back shortly.
Okay.
Are you ready for the next slide?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, then here comes the next one.
So the next two slides, I have prepared information for you for those people who are willing to donate to Ukraine, maybe on a regular basis. And I wanted to share how you can do this and how I do this. One of the ways, the organization is called United 24, is a government-run foundation, and they collect money for defense. I have here a screenshot from their website. From defense, from humanitarian demining, for medical aid, to rebuild Ukraine, and for education and science. Their website is up here. It's u24.gov.ua. And it's very easy to donate there. They have, Ukrainians have made things very easy, to work with, very intuitive. Another place that I, would like people to contribute if they're able is a private foundation. It's called Zemlyachki, and Zemlyachki means, it means a woman from my land. It's translated in Ukrainian as a woman who lives in the same land where I do. And they support women warriors. We have a lot of women who joined the army. And I read their stories recently. They're young girls who just turned 18 and they voluntarily went to be conscripted. And they are there. Somebody's fighting, shooting, somebody's in the medical care. And so these women, they need special women's uniform. And we did not have that in Ukraine. We did not have uniform for women because we never had so many women in the army. So now we do. And on the previous slide there, you could see what kind of ammunition they need. And now this charity foundation, it's called Pritula Charity Foundation. Pritula is a last name of the person who is running it. And they support humanitarian relief, and they help the army. And donation is the way, again, we resist. And here I have the name of the slide. Whenever Ukrainians feel furious, they donate to trusted foundations. And we feel furious every other day when they bombard civilians. Just 3 days ago, we had a tragedy in Western Ukraine, Lviv, and it was considered to be a very safe city because it's far west. It's almost on the border with Slovakia. And but many houses were destroyed. At least 10 people died. We don't know how many more are under the rubble. And so whenever things like this happen, we donate. And I have to say that this is something that I think will go in the books, in the history books, because Ukrainians we're not a wealthy nation. We're not like, United States. We're not like Germany. Whatever people earn, usually we spend the next months. So, we don't usually have savings. But if Pritula Foundation or any other foundation says we need 10 million hryvnias, you can divide it by 4 and then you get dollars, they get it instantly in 24 hours or in 48 hours, because this is how we say, take my money, buy whatever you need, and just go and help our soldiers. So whenever you feel this injustice, you can go ahead and donate to Ukrainian army.
It's so great that you're sharing all of these various ways for us to contribute, because there's so many scammers out there. So the fact that you're aware of which ones is fabulous. So thank you so much for giving us all those options.
Yes, and I gave you government run and private run, depending on where people feel they want to donate, what they want to donate.
Yes.
We can go to the next slide.
I can't believe I did it right. Where did it go? There it is.
Yay. So the next slide is the language that we have been fighting for. Here you see a letter that is unique to Ukrainian alphabet. This letter, it's pronounced as yi.
Yi.
Yi, yes. And this is a letter that defines Ukrainian alphabet from Russian alphabet. They do not have this letter because our alphabets are almost identical. They're Cyrillic alphabets. And in some occupied cities now, people write this letter on the walls to show their resistance, to show their support to Ukraine. And Ukrainian language has been banned 134 times in the last 400 years by Russian Empire, Tsar Russia, Soviet Union. So again, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why they don't like us to this extent. But maybe, one of the reasons that I understand it is that we're very free-willed and free-spirited. And in the end of my presentation, I will show you the Ukrainian coat of arms that really explains this, why we're so free-spirited. And I think they had very hard times conquering us, even though historically Ukraine was first there, on our lands, starting from Kiev Rus in 10th century. but they weren't able to conquer us. So I guess, banning our language, something that makes us different from them, it was a way to try to conquer us. And in the last century, Ukrainian language, Ukrainian poets and writers and philologists, researchers and linguists and professors, they were repressed, imprisoned for life, and killed during Soviet regime for speaking Ukrainian, for writing in Ukrainian. And the last person that I know of that died for, writing in Ukrainian language was 1975. It wasn't that long ago. And he was still, there in prison, and he died of either he was starved or, from malnutrition for something. He died there. So in Ukrainian language, it was forcefully Russified in 20th century. And they changed many words so it would sound like Russian. And Ukrainian was considered a language of uneducated people, of people that of farmers. So when my grandmother moved from the village, it was I would say 50s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
She switched from Ukrainian to Russian, and she because if she spoke Ukrainian, she would be considered uneducated. So, and this is what happened in Eastern Ukraine. So if you hear people speaking Russian in Ukraine, it's not because they support Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It's because Russia forced Russian language on eastern part of Ukraine.
Right. And that's unfortunate because it does happen with many oppressed communities.
Yes. And I spoke Russian 35 years of my life. Last year, after another bombarding, after other children died, I said to my family, we'll no longer speak Russian. We stopped speaking Russian this day, and we'll never speak it again. And so we switched to Ukrainian. And some of my friends switched totally to Ukrainian. Some are still going there. But this is how we differentiate ourselves from Russian people, by speaking Ukrainian. This is how, again, we resist.
Thank you. Did you want the next slide?
Yes, we can go to the next one.
And as you can see, Governor Val is back.
Yay!
It's magic of TV. I just show back up. I think looking at all of the different slides, one of the things that we have a friend who presented at Kiwanis International Convention, and we weren't sure to be able to pop in. But he is a person, Mark J. Lindquist, and he's absolutely amazing. And I know he is probably going to be watching the show later. But when you have these scenes, it really makes it personal. So.
Yes. So I want you to look at this map. I know it's in Ukrainian, but I'll explain you what you can see there. So the red territories. Oh, and for people who are listening, Ukraine is the size of Texas, so that you understand how big it is. The red territories are those that were occupied when the war started in 2014. And that was 7% of our territory. Then the blue territories that you see, those are that were deoccupied by Ukrainian army. It was as for end of February of this year. And it was, I guess it says 10%, right? And there are orange territories. They are still occupied. I don't see how many percent are orange territories because I have little windows here. But that's quite a lot. I think that's about 20% of our territory that is still occupied.
It's 17%, Anya.
Okay, thank you. It's 17%. So when you hear people saying, we think that Ukraine should give up the occupied territories and end conflict this way, just look at the map and understand how much of the territories we should give, we would give away. That's one thing. And please understand that the dynamics is that first they took those territories that are in red color, then they went for those that are orange. If we give them these territories now, in 10 years, you will not see a half of Ukraine. It will be, they will take it away.
Right.
So if we stop this conflict now and do not get the territories back, what Russia will do, they will regain the strength, and in 5-10 years they will go back again. And it's important for me that I share this, because when it's something distant, far away, you think, oh, maybe they should stop, we will stop giving them money, and we will end this war. It will not end for us. We will eventually lose the country, and they do torture people in occupied territories. I don't even want to tell you what terrible things they do, and maybe you've seen and heard about those. And they just beyond understanding of any human being. And I think I will tell you, just so you know, there was a case, and they showed it on the internet, when they beheaded a live Ukrainian captive soldier. Just understand how vicious they are, how unhuman they are. And those are people, say, we are liberating Russian-speaking people. So far, they have only killed Russian-speaking people on the east of Ukraine. There is nothing human about that regime and those soldiers who are there fighting. So yes, some parts of my presentations are not optimistic. They're sad.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It really is unfortunate that those things are happening, and it's so great that you're able to connect us to those humanitarian efforts.
Yes, thank you. And we can go to the next slide. This is a part of Ukrainian history that I want you to know about. A man-made famine was happened right in Ukraine in 1932, 1933. In Ukrainian, it's called Holodomor, and it's considered a genocide of Ukrainian nation by many countries, not just by Ukraine. So what happened is that since Ukrainian, as I said, they were very free-willed, Ukrainians didn't want to have communist regime. They didn't want to collectivization to be happening on their lands, because what is collectivization? They come, they take everything away from you. They take your horses, your grain, your whatever belongings they want to take, and then they spread it evenly among everybody. So somebody who is not working and lazy, they give him as well. And so Ukrainians didn't want this to happen. And to suppress them, Stalin started the famine. So there were two reasons. One is to suppress Ukrainians, to show him who is the ruler of this regime and whom they should abide. And the second reason is that the Soviet Union was going through rapid economic growth, and they needed lots of money. And they sold Ukrainian grain. They sold it to the extent they left nothing for Ukrainian people. They sold it to, all the big economies of those times. It was England, it was United States as well, and people didn't know what's happening in Ukraine. So the losses of this are 6 million people in Ukrainian Soviet Republic and 3 million outside of Ukraine. They counted these people, as you see, there is an emblem. They counted those people who died and those people who were not able to be born. So this is a huge, massive loss. And the picture that you see, the black and white picture, you see dead people on the streets and people just casually walking by. This was the reality of people at that time, because people just died every, I don't know, minute, second, because they were starved. And very often there was nobody to pick them up because everybody was so weak. And if a child with a mother was on the street and if a parent died, nobody would pick up the child. Nobody would take a live child because nobody had food to feed this child. And there were stories of people eating people. And in the village, if somebody could smell of the cooked meat in the village, they knew that somebody lost a child today. Because at that point, of course, there were no cows to eat, no goats, no sheep, no birds.
That just breaks your heart.
People of those times, they say that they were not able to hear a single bird because, they were all gone, all eaten by people. And
Wow.
with this story, I want you to, picture that Soviet equals Russian regime has no boundaries. It doesn't know the limits. They go beyond and beyond understanding, and if they have an aim, they will reach it with whatever whatever it takes.
That's why this is so important for us to know, because most of us don't know. We just know what we see on TV,
Right.
and it doesn't bring it home. And so, Anya, I am so thankful that you're sharing the real, because we don't always get the real. And it is, as someone just commented in, it's really sad history, but it is our
Yes.
history. And in order for us to make sure that this stops, we've got to do stuff. We've got to be actively involved. We have to know that there are 77 million people around the world that are being impacted, and we that's our responsibility. I think, especially as Kiwanians, to think about how we do that. And so I know that there are different ways that we can help out. And so, would you like to go to another slide?
Yes, sure. We should watch our time, right?
Well, it's not that we're wasting time, but we want to make sure that people actually understand what.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm saying we should watch the time because it's running to the end.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But we're not going to.
You don't
John.
need to worry about that. We'll go as long as we need to go. I think that this.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
While we are going to the next slide, before we start, my grandma, she was born after the Holodomor, but there was another famine in Ukraine later. And she says that she remembers eating grass. She remembers going out with her brother, picking up one kind of grass. She gave it to her grandma. Her grandma rolled it into little flat pancakes and just put it on the stove to make it warm. So the history of famines is so close to us that it was just my grandma who went through this. And this video, I don't think we'll be able to watch it nicely, just because, yes, you're shaking your head. Of the same reasons, it will just not play well. But if you will have a moment, this is my city. This is where I was born. This is where I raised my children. And this BBC News video features our city before and after invasion. So the building that you see now on the screen, it's not the city hall. So all Ukraine is divided in regions. So this is administration of Kharkiv region. Kharkiv is 1.5 million, the population of the city. It's a huge city. So this building, it's still standing. You see the facade, but inside it's all gone. They dropped the bomb there. And now, if you go to Kharkiv today, streets will be perfectly cleaned. The lawn is mown, the flowers are blooming, the streets are immaculately clean. But there are no windows in some of the buildings in the center. They are covered with plywood. But again, another way of resisting. You are bombarding us sometimes every day, sometimes every week, depending on how lucky the city is. But then people get up and they clean it up. They clean it, they make it look like nothing happened. And I think I want to say this now, that if you talk to Ukrainian now, if you talk to me, I won't talk much about how sad I am of what's happening. It's not because I'm not sad. It's because we're so tired of grieving. We're so tired of being upset that, and now it will play, so you can just press again, and it will go.
Sorry.
Just move to so we will watch it later. So if you see a Ukrainian who is not devastated now, it's because we're tired of being devastated. We just live our lives. Unfortunately, we got used to the war. My mom got used to the war, but it doesn't mean that it's normal. It's not normal to be used to the war. We just don't want to talk about it this much at this point, because we really want to live our lives. And here I come to something that I love to share. So on the map, I just wanted people to see where Kiev Rus came from. So Kiev Rus is something that was before Ukraine. It was established in 10th century, and later Moscow was established. So sometimes Putin has troubles remembering, who came first. We were first, just so you know. And you see here a Ukrainian flag and Ukrainian coat of arms. And this is what I always have here on my chest. So Ukrainian coat of arms has embedded a word in it. And the word that in Ukrainian, it sounds as voля. But in English, you have a very similar word. It's volition. Will. And with the red, you see here there are 4 coat of arms, and with the red, you see 4 Ukrainian letters. First is V, O, L, and the last is Ya. So Ukrainian people in 10th century embedded the word voля into the coat of arms. Will. We are people of the free spirit, of free will, and we do not like to be oppressed. We have had 3 revolutions in 30 years of our democracy. 3 revolutions. At the same time, Russian people had 1 chosen president. We kicked out the president that was pro-Russian and wasn't moving Ukrainian towards European Union. We literally kicked him out, even though, he actually commanded the special forces to start shooting those people who were protesting on the main square in Kiev. And we did not agree with that. So when people say, oh, poor Russian people, they are so oppressed, well, Russian people should get up and do something. the same way Ukrainians got up 3 times and did something. And when people say it's Putin's war, it's not Putin's war, because Russians very well support him, and those are soldiers on the front lines shooting. Those are soldiers raping women, children, sometimes even men. Those are soldiers pressing the button for the rocket to shoot the civilians, and I'm sure they perfectly know where they're aiming at, because it's a year and a half into the war. So I'm putting a lot of responsibility on the people of Russia for what is happening in Ukraine now. But I want you to know that we will fight till the end. When they say that Ukraine will fight till their last drop of the blood, this is what.
Thank you so much.
So, Anya, I am going to step away, but I want you to continue to share the story that you have, and we will make sure that all the story is heard. But I'm in Anaheim right now, and we're at our Key Club International Convention, and I'm going to
About
share.
to get rowdy.
Yeah, it's about to get rowdy, and I'm going to share this with the students. I'm going to share your PowerPoint with the students here. We have 34 countries represented. And so
Wow.
we're going to get the kids involved in doing this. So thank you so much. And you're going to see some donations from Jamaica and Poland.
Thank you.
And
Poland is our
and
brotherly
all over
nation
the
now.
United States, North America. So, and
Thank you.
I'll let Claudia and John take it away with Miss Anya.
Thanks.
Aloha.
Thank you.
How much time do we have, John? Because I know it's about to get rowdy in here.
Yes, we are about it's almost 1 hour, and I'm in my last slide, and I think I've told it all.
So you want to bring up
so
the
much sharing that.
You want to bring up the next slide,
The next
Claudia?
Oh, no, it's
Is
the
it-
end. It's the next slide says that it's the end of the presentation.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Anya, I just want to let you know that here at WWDB TV, I'll be promoting the links to all of the charities that you gave us. I'll make sure that all of our show hosts have that we can help promote what's
Thank
going
you.
on.
Thank you. And you had a question about President Zelensky.
I did. I just, what you see on TV and what we see on the news, he appears to be the kind of leader that we would all like to have, every country. Is that the
Right.
way the Ukrainian people actually feel about him?
It is now. It's very interesting how the war made this leader to be the leader. Before the war, for me personally, as like me, Anya, I did not think much of him.
He was an actor, was he not?
He was an actor. He was a comedian. He was
Right.
featured in a show where he appeared to be a president of Ukraine. I think this was the part of
Right.
his campaign. I don't know how that happened, but I did not think much of him. But he physically, his look, his face, the way he looks changed from the day 23rd of February, 24th of February. He is a hero, but every hero who is wearing he has a cape, right? Like a Superman, he has a cape. And there are people behind him holding his cape and waving his cape for him. Those people are diplomats. Those people are soldiers, of course, regular, volunteers, doctors and nurses who are dealing with this tremendous amount of wounds and everything. So he is a hero who has people waving his cape. That's how I see him.
I like that. That's a
Yeah.
good description. So, And we do understand that it does take it's not just one man who makes this happen. I think you've mentioned a couple of times that every Ukrainian, regardless of whether they're in the country or not, is fighting this war. I have some friends in Poland that I spoke to and interviewed about in the end of March, so about a month into the war, and they were talking about all of um, you know, the Polish people understood because they had been there themselves, and I
Hmm.
think that's why that the people, even though the government wasn't doing
Hmm.
much in the beginning, it was the people who were helping the refugees. So
Yes, yes, and it's amazing how
it's too bad our country can't be like that with our neighbors.
Right.
Sorry.
We really
yes,
appreciate you taking so much time out of and I know it's been a challenge for you as well, having to leave your country and coming here to the States. And we're so thankful that you're here with us today, able to be safe
yes,
and continue to
yeah,
share and advocate for your country. Um, someone
yes,
actually commented that they're watching from Nepal, during all of your challenges and the way that we can actually help out in a humanitarian form. John, did you want to share the song at this point?
Um, Yeah, let's try that. Go ahead and put it up, and I'll try to close out with that. And Anya, I will. I have your email
It's easier
address.
said than done, by the way.
I will send you my contact info, and if there's anything that we can do here at the station to help you, anything that you need us to help you promote, please feel free
all
to reach
right,
out. And
thank you.
we have a worldwide audience, and hopefully we can make a difference.
Yes, and
Yes.
I want to thank you once again. It is crucially important that Ukrainians tell the story. They go back, 100 years ago and explain where it all started and how long that we have been resisting. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I oh, and I want you to know that there is no small donation. Just know this. If you donate
Someone
a
donated,
dollar
by the way.
matters.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
somebody's
you.
already donated and said that the PayPal link works. So thank you again for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, Douglas. All right.
Yes, thanks,
So
Douglas.
with that, Claudia, thank you. Anya, I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it was.
It
Thanks.
really
You have
was
all a
so
wonderful day
informative.
and enjoy
Thank you.
Ukrainian song. I hope it will play well.
Me too.
It is a beautiful song.
Okay, you need to hit play, Claudia.
And open the screen wider so people
Yeah.
can see it wider.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, you got this.
Ah, sorry.
Коли настане день, закінчиться війна, там загубив себе, побачив аж до дна. Обійми мене, обійми мене, обійми, так лагідно і не пускай. Обійми мене, обійми мене, обійми. Твоя весна прийде нехай. твоя душа складає зброю вниз. Невже таки вона та хоче теплих сліз? Обійми мене, обійми мене, обійми. Так лагідно і не пускай. Обійми мене, обійми мене, обійми. Твоя душа прийде, нехай.